Hello everyone, my name is Katie Martin and my discussion lead is over Sonny's Blues by James Baldwin. So to begin with, I want to touch base with Baldwin's style of writing. So before he was ever an author or a writer, Baldwin was a preacher, and this sets him apart from a lot of different authors in the story, or in the book actually. He was influenced mostly by the Bible and uses his biblical imagery to tell the story to the readers. In Sonny's Blues, the setting is set in Harlem, New York, around the 1950s. The streets of Harlem at this time are filled with poverty, crime, danger, and it's just really hard growing up as a child in the town of Harlem, especially post-World War II. There are three characters I want to describe. We have the narrator, Sonny, and then the mother of the two. So to begin with, the narrator is the oldest brother of the two. He's a very successful working young man. He works as a math teacher in a school, and he is raising a family at the time. He has lived in Harlem all of his life, and throughout the story, he devotes himself to helping Sonny and to help Sonny with his future. Next, we have Sonny. He is a very troubled young man. He is the younger brother of the two. He becomes addicted to heroin at a very, very young age and keeps his problems bottled up in a little bit of a secret. Nobody really knows what's going on with Sonny, especially because of this. Music is Sonny's only escape in life, and he feels free when he expresses his feelings through his music. He channels all of his frustrations and anger into music, and this kind of keeps him out of trouble for a little bit. Next, we have the mother. The mother actually dies when Sonny was a very young boy, but I think she is a significant part of the story just because the flashbacks throughout the story play a big part, because in the past his mother is always in the flashbacks. And before she dies, she expresses her concern for Sonny and his future and really just wants him to succeed in life and tries to make sure that the narrator understands that, the older brother. So next we have a little bit of a summary about the story. So I mentioned there's two brothers who live two very different lifestyles. The unnamed brother, the narrator, has discovered one day when he was going to work through a newspaper that Sonny has been in prison for the use and selling of heroin. He is very distraught by this, and the older brother just goes about his day teaching algebra to his students, and he pictures his students someday ending up like Sonny because of the hardships that they have to face growing up in Harlem. Time passes by when Sonny is in jail, and his brother finally writes to Sonny while he is in prison. After this, both the brothers stay in contact with each other throughout Sonny's time in prison, and once Sonny is ready to get out of prison, the brothers right there next to his side, picking him up, taking him home to his parents' apartment. After this, the story flashes back to when Sonny and his mother was alive, and how he has been through a multitude of trauma growing up, and it's kind of the way Sonny is now is because of his hardships throughout life. And his father and Sonny was always fighting with each other, and he just had a hard life growing up, and it explains the way he is today. Sonny has always dreamed of being a jazz pianist, and his brother doesn't really agree or support with him in this decision. And I mention this because playing music is really only Sonny's escape. And so when Sonny gets out of prison, he invites his brother to a small jazz club when his band is playing. And when he is getting on stage, he's performing, the brother watches Sonny and how he struggles to express himself through his music. And finally, the brother realizes who Sonny really is and how he can express his music or his feelings through this music. I look at it as everybody can have redemption throughout life, and Sonny's redemption was music, and he can escape from his life troubles through this music and can express his feelings throughout this way. Next, I have the theme of the story, and so I believe that the theme is brotherly love and a family bond, and there was quite a bit of family fallout throughout the story, and kind of about how much family members owe to one another, and even with family problems, if you have compassion with your family members, your family obligations are rewarding in some type of way. All right, I have 3 questions for you guys. The first question is, what is Sonny's relationship with his brother and what sets them apart in life? The second question is, in the second paragraph on page 38, the narrator states, "A great block of ice got settled in my belly and kept melting there, slowly, all day long, while I taught my classes algebra." Which literary element did the author use to describe the way the narrator was feeling, and why? And the third question is, the writing in this story moves back and forth from the past to the present, and how does this influence the story, and why do you think the author writes the story in this way? All right, so thank you guys for listening, and I hope you really enjoy the story and the questions.